Ever since the beginning of Amtrak in 1971, Amtrak has a lot of very detailed locomotives throughout the years, from the old E units to the most favorite F4 PHs to whoever this shit is. Nonetheless, these locomotives kept Amtrak running throughout the years and made what Amtrak it is to this day as of 2024. But if you go to the Nevada State Railroad Museum located in Boulder City, Nevada, and look down the line, you see one Amtrak locomotive that is not the same as its rest of the models that Amtrak used to have. What is this locomotive? What's the backstory of it? And this is for today's documentary. So, here's the story of Amtrak 644, the last of its kind. Ever since Amtrak started business in 1971, Amtrak has acquired a lot of different locomotives from other railroads such as the CB&Q, the B&O, and more, mainly the F&E units. This was dubbed the Rainbow Era as the colorful equipment that Amtrak has. But this wouldn't do for Amtrak, and later they came out with the Festival Paint Scheme Phase 1, and they applied to most of the F&E units. But however, they were showing their age, and Amtrak wanted a more reliable locomotive for passenger service. So with the help from EMD, they made the SDP-40F. The model was a full-width cowl unit, and it was based on the EMD FP45 and the SD40-2, equipped with a 645E3 prime mover, have 3,000 horsepower, and have a top speed of 94 through 100 miles per hour, and equipped with the SL40 air horn. In total, Amtrak ordered 150 SDP-40F into 2 batches, with the first batch with 40 locomotives being placed on November 2nd, 1972 with $80 million, and the second batch with 110 locomotives on October 12, 1973 at a total of $50 million. If you add those together, Amtrak spent over $68 million on 110 SDP-40Fs. And one locomotive we'll be focusing on is Amtrak 644. 644 was an EMD SDP-40F locomotive being built by EMD in August of 1934 to replace the aging F&E units. They were placed into revenue service and hauling trains such as the North Coast Hiawatha, the Southwest Limited, and more. Keep in mind, this is the 1970s. If you try to ride these trains today, you won't see them anymore because they were discontinued or they've been renamed. They were called the stars of Amtrak's long-distance trains in late 1975 by J. David Ingalls. But however, the engine crews can't say the same thing, as they reported that the locomotives rode poorly compared to the E units they replaced. Even as Amtrak and EMD investigated the ride quality, the SDP-40F was involved in a series of developments that led to the end of its career as a passenger locomotive. Between 1974 to 76, the FRA identified 13 incidents for which the locomotive was responsible. None of the incidents were serious, but the frequency was a concern. Most of the derailments occurred on trains with 2 SDP-40Fs on the front and at least 1 trailing baggage car, while the rear truck of the second locomotive and the front truck of the baggage car were pinpointed as the source of the derailment. The actual case of the derailments was unclear. So beginning in 1975, Amtrak started to order EMD's newest locomotive model, the F40PHs, which was the first ever locomotive to be equipped with head-end power, or HEP for short, since the SDP-40F didn't equip with head-end power at the time when they were first built in 1973. So, retirement began on the SDP-40F, and one by one, each of the locomotives was taken up on the roster, and 644 would join her sisters. It looks like it's the end of the line. But luckily, she would be saved in the 1980s by another railroad. After the remaining 18 SDP-40Fs were retired in 1984, they were sold off to the Santa Fe Railway for 25 CF7s and 18 SSB-1200. The ATSF would rebuild the training SDP-40Fs for freight use, reclassifying them as SDF-40-2s, resulting in their steam generators being removed and regearing them for slower speeds. 644 would get the same treatment, and she, along with 17 others, would be renumbered into the 52 series.
644 would be renumbered from 644 to 5266. She would start hauling freight trains in the states that Santa Fe served, like California, Arizona, Colorado, and 8 more states. In 1988, the Santa Fe would do the treatment to some of the problems with their modified STP-40F, like locating the headlights onto the nose and later adding notches on both sides of the nose. This once allowed crews to mount the units and enter through the nose. Like most Santa Fe locomotives, like the ST-45-2s for example, giving the 5266 the same treatment, it continued as normal until 1995. In 1995, the Santa Fe were merged with the Burlington Northern to create Burlington Northern Santa Fe, or BNSF for short. The STF-40-2s would be renumbered once again into BNSF specifications into the 69 series, from 6960 to 6977. 644 would be renumbered from 6260 to 6976. But retirement would start in the late 90s, specifically 1999, after one of their sisters would be involved in a low-speed derailment, causing the frame to bend and significant body damage. The locomotives, including 6976, will be placed into storage at Kansas City, Missouri and Barstow, California, with 6976 being placed in Barstow along with the other old units. Looks like it's the end of the line for 6976.